Pripyat was built to be the perfect Soviet city. 49,000 people, an amusement park, swimming pools, a cinema, schools with brand new textbooks. Then Reactor 4 at Chernobyl melted down on April 26, 1986. Residents were told to pack for 3 days. That was 40 years ago. Nobody came back. The city sits frozen in the exact moment everyone left. Classrooms still have open textbooks on desks. A Ferris wheel in the amusement park never carried a single rider because the grand opening was scheduled for May 1st, 5 days too late. But here's what nobody talks about. Remove humans from a place and nature doesn't collapse. It explodes. Wolves, wild horses, and lynx now roam through apartment blocks. Trees push through concrete floors. Radiation hotspots still read 10 to 15 times above normal. Yet the exclusion zone has become one of the most biodiverse regions in Europe. Because we left. 200 elderly residents illegally moved back and have lived there for decades. Their logic was simple. Radiation is bad, loneliness is worse. The HBO series alone brought over 100,000 tourists in 2019. Pripyat is proof of something deeply uncomfortable. The planet doesn't need us. We need it. Centralia, a town in Pennsylvania, has been on fire since 1962. Not a metaphor. Centralia was a normal coal mining town of about 1,000 people until someone lit a trash fire in an abandoned mine pit. The flames reached an exposed coal seam underground and just never stopped. 64 years and counting. The fire now covers 16 square kilometers beneath the surface with temperatures hitting 450 degrees Celsius. Smoke and toxic gases seep through cracks in roads and backyards. Route 61, the main highway through town, buckled and split open from the heat below. Locals called it the Graffiti Highway. The government spent $42 million relocating residents and demolished nearly every structure. Population today? 5. 5 humans who refuse to leave a town that is literally burning underneath them. The fire has enough coal to keep going for another 250 years. Pennsylvania officially condemned the town in 2002 and revoked its zip code. Centralia inspired the Silent Hill video game franchise, which honestly makes sense because the real place is worse. An entire American town erased from the map by a fire that cannot be stopped. It's burning right now as you're watching this. Hashima Island sits 15 kilometers off the coast of Nagasaki as a concrete fortress rising straight out of the ocean. 0 humans inside. The island earned the nickname Battleship Island because from the water, it genuinely looks like a warship. In the 1950s, this tiny rock was the most densely populated place on Earth. 5,300 people crammed onto 6.3 hectares. That's 835 people per hectare. Denser than anywhere in modern Tokyo. Mitsubishi turned the entire island into a coal mining operation and built Japan's first large concrete apartment blocks. They added a school, hospital, cinema, shops, even rooftop gardens because there was 0 natural ground to work with. When Japan shifted from coal to petroleum in the 1970s, Mitsubishi shut the mines and pulled everyone out in 3 months. Residents left everything behind. Furniture, televisions, family photos on walls. 50 years of salt air and typhoons have been ripping the concrete apart. The crumbling towers look exactly like a post-apocalyptic film set, which is why it became the villain's lair in the Bond film Skyfall. UNESCO made it a World Heritage Site in 2015, Japan's most extreme experiment in human density, packed to breaking point 1 decade, a concrete skeleton the next. Varosha was the jewel of Famagusta, Cyprus. Elizabeth Taylor vacationed here. Brigitte Bardot sunbathed on the beach, hotels lined the waterfront, boutiques filled the streets, tourism was booming. Then, sudden geopolitical shifts in August 1974 triggered an immediate evacuation. Residents fled carrying whatever they could grab, expecting to return within days. That was over 50 years ago. The entire district was quickly fenced off and declared a restricted zone. High-rise hotels have stood empty ever since, with furniture still inside. Car dealerships still have 1974 models on the showroom floor. Shops still have merchandise under 5 decades of dust. Sea turtles now nest on what was once the most exclusive beach in the Mediterranean. Satellite images show swimming pools filled with green water and palm trees growing through hotel lobbies. The UN has passed multiple resolutions demanding Varosha be returned to its inhabitants. In 2020, a small coastal section was partially reopened, but the rest stays sealed behind heavy security and fences. A billion-dollar resort district, perfectly preserved, completely empty. Frozen in time by a decades-long political stalemate. If you're enjoying these stories, subscribe. The next 4 get even stranger. Ordos, unlike every other city on this list, never had any people to begin with. The Chinese government poured $161 billion into Kangbashi, a brand new urban district in Inner Mongolia designed for 1 million residents. Massive government buildings, a museum by mad architects that looks like a metallic sandworm, luxury apartment towers, an 8-lane boulevard connecting it all. One problem: nobody showed up. At its emptiest, roughly 20,000 people rattled around in a space built for 1 million. Streets designed for rush hour sat completely deserted. Brand new towers went dark every night. Shopping malls opened to 0 customers. Western media called it the world's largest ghost city. Build it, and they will come. For a whole decade, they didn't. But here's what most coverage missed. Ordos has been slowly filling up. Population has climbed past 100,000 and keeps rising as government incentives, university relocations, and development programs pull residents in. The ghost city might actually unghost itself. Was parking $161 billion of infrastructure in a desert for 15 years visionary patience, or the most expensive miscalculation in planning history? Nobody has figured it out yet. Kolmanskop's story began when a railway worker in present-day Namibia found a diamond just lying in the sand. Within 2 years, it became the richest town in Africa. German miners built Bavarian-style mansions in the middle of the desert. A hospital with the first X-ray machine in the southern hemisphere, a ballroom, a skittle alley, a power plant, and a factory that produced ice where temperatures regularly cracked 40 degrees. At its peak, the area around Kolmanskop produced 11.7% of the entire world's diamond output. Then larger deposits were discovered further south, and the money vanished practically overnight. By 1956, the last residents packed up. The Namib Desert has been reclaiming the town ever since. Sand pours through shattered windows and fills rooms to ceiling height. Doorways open into solid walls of sand. Houses sit half buried with ornate German architecture poking out above golden dunes like the bones of something ancient. Photographers from around the world make the trip to capture what might be the most hauntingly beautiful abandoned place on Earth. The desert gave Kolmanskop everything, then it slowly ate it alive. Craco sits on a dramatic cliff peak in Basilicata, southern Italy. It was founded around 540 AD. For 1,400 years, people lived in stone buildings stacked up this rocky outcrop like a vertical village. Then the hills started moving. Landslides in 1963 forced the first evacuations. A major earthquake in 1980 finished what the slides started. The remaining residents were relocated, and Craco was left for good. Today, it's a medieval skeleton clinging to a hilltop. Stone arches frame nothing but open sky. Staircases end at cliff edges where floors used to be. A Norman tower still stands guard over empty air. The ruins appeared in The Passion of the Christ and the Bond film Quantum of Solace because the silhouette looks like it was designed by a film crew. It wasn't. Unlike everything else on this list, Craco wasn't abandoned because of any human decision. The geology beneath the town shifted and pushed people out. 1,400 years of habitation ended because the mountain decided it was done. Guided tours take visitors through parts of the ruins, but large sections remain off limits. Parts of Craco are still actively sliding. The town is slowly falling off the cliff it was built on. Nobody can stop it. Plymouth was the capital of Montserrat, a small Caribbean island and British overseas territory. 4,000 people. Tropical charm, colonial architecture, a cricket pitch by the sea. On July 18, 1995, the Soufriere Hills volcano erupted after 400 years of silence. Plymouth sat directly in the path of pyroclastic flows, superheated gas and rock moving over 100 kilometers per hour at temperatures above 300 degrees Celsius. The city was evacuated in stages, then buried under 12 meters of volcanic mud and ash. The top floors of the tallest buildings still poke above the gray surface like tombstones. The clock tower of the old courthouse is still visible. 2/3 of the island's population fled to the UK and neighboring islands. The southern half of Montserrat remains an exclusion zone. The volcano is still active, still rumbling, still depositing ash. Plymouth is the only ghost capital in the modern world. This didn't happen centuries ago. It happened within the lifetime of people watching this video. The residents are still alive. Their city is not. They can stand on a hilltop and see their old rooftops buried in gray. Imagine your street, your front door, your neighborhood vanishing under volcanic rock while you watch from a hill. That's not history. That's someone's actual life. Comment which abandoned city haunts you the most. See you in the next one.